Let's get started. Daily warm-up. This bar graph shows the number of liters of water Skylar uses this month. Here's our bar graph. You can see that each week is labeled on this side because that's where our weeks go, and you can see the number of liters is over here. They're counting by tens. Each full box is 10 liters of water. So let's take a look at our first question. During which week does Skylar use the most water? Well, I can tell which one's the biggest without even counting. I'm looking at this graph and I see week 4 is the most. So, let me write week 4. Okay, which one is the least, the smallest? Let me take a look again at my bar graph. Week 3 is the shortest bar. So without even counting, I know that week 3 is the least. How many more liters does Skylar use in week 4 than week 2? Okay. How many more? I have that problem-solving keyword chart again because how many more is on there, or how much more? Do you see it somewhere? Yeah, how much more is on subtraction? How many more is just another way to say that. It's just proper grammar. So how many more liters does she have? I know I'm going to subtract. I'm going to do week 4 minus week 2. But I need to figure out how many liters she drank both weeks. So let's count. 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60. But look at this. This is not a full graph. Or a full box. It's only half. So I know that half of 10 is 5. So that means that week 4 is 65. And let's look at week 2. I'm going to trace this line all the way up. She's at 50 for week 2 because it's 5 full boxes and my bottom is labeled. So 65. Actually, let me write it the correct way. Oh, shoot. I didn't mean to erase all of that. Sorry, guys. Week 4, week 3, and then we're doing 4 minus 2. So 65 minus 50 is 15 liters. I forgot to type a sentence this week. Actually, let me just type one in. Never mind, I'll just write one. So, you could say, and you should say, you should have a complete sentence. If I can write it on the computer, you can write it on your paper. Skylar used 15 more liters. Period. Okay, now our last question for our warm-up. Write a number sentence to show how many liters of water Skylar uses week 2 and 3 combined. Where do you see that word combined on our problem-solving keywords chart? Yep, under addition. Awesome job. I see it there too. So we're going to say week 2 plus week 3. I already know how many liters of water week 2 has from solving problem B. So that's 50 plus how many week 3? I see 4 full boxes. Gonna double check on my line. 40. 50 plus 40 equals 90 liters. I'm going to write it in cursive because it's easier on the computer. Cool. All right, we're going to move on to our new learning. If you are feeling confused about fractions still, Miss Fifield made another fraction review video. It's linked right now. Go ahead and pause here. Don't worry about doing the new learning yet. Go watch her video, see if it'll help, and then come on back. If you're still feeling confused, of course, you can get on Teams and text me or Miss Fifield or Miss Cotter. You can call us. You can text us on our phone numbers, but go watch that video first and then come back and try to do this. Sorry, it's a little hard to read today. So here's our first example for new learning. Divide the number line into the given fractional unit. That means the denominator, right? The unit fraction. So they want this divided into fifths, into 5 equal pieces, as you can see here. Then label the fractions. Write each whole number as a fraction using the given unit. So they told us fifths, right? So what we did here, I have 0 to 1, 1 to 2, 2 to 3, is here's a whole, for example, chopped this into 5 equal pieces to make fifths. 0 fifths, 1 fifths, 2 fifths, 3 fifths, 4 fifths, 5 fifths. You see? They did that between each whole number. That was step 1. Then they went ahead and they put these fractions on the number line. They only labeled these fractions. Take a look. Here's 3 fifths. Here's 14 fifths. And then here's 8 fifths. Sorry. Now the other thing that the directions wanted us to do was write the whole number as a fraction. And we've talked about this in our last couple lessons. So 0 is my whole number. So we got 0 fifths. 5 fifths is the same as 1 whole. 10 fifths is the same as 2 wholes. And 3 fifths is the same, or 3 is the same as 15 fifths. Again, if this is confusing, please go to watch Miss Fifield's fraction review video that I linked earlier. You can also find it in the fluency playlist. So this is what those directions told us to do. We cut it into fifths. We labeled our fractions that they wanted, and then we labeled our equivalent whole number fractions. Then it asked us to use the number line to compare the fractions. So I should have had this on the same thing here. So it said, what's bigger, 3 fifths or 8 fifths? If I look back at my number line, I can see 3 fifths is closer to 0. 8 fifths is closer to 2, or 3 fifths is closer to 1, and 8 fifths is closer to 2. 8 fifths is bigger than 1, so I know that if it's bigger than 1, it's bigger than 3 fifths, right? Same thing here, 7 fifths. So I would go back, I would look at my number line first because I see a whole number. So I'm going to go check here. 2 is the same as 10 fifths. Let me write 10 fifths right next to it. Okay, I'm going to go back and look and see which number is closer to 0. That's my smaller fraction. So let's see, 7 fifths or 10 fifths. Get a new color. Seven fifths would be right here, right? It would be right before 8 fifths. So even though I don't have it labeled, I know where it goes. And then here is my 10 fifths. 7 fifths is closer to 0, so it's smaller than 10 fifths. So we said 2 or 10 fifths is greater than 7 fifths. Last one that they did, they said, okay, 3, which I know 3 is the same as 15 fifths. and 14/5. I could look at my number line again. I also know 15 is bigger than 14. So 14/5 is going to be closer to 0. The reason they have us plot these whole numbers as fractions is to help us compare them easier. So we're going to keep doing that as we go. Let's try some out on our own. Okay, they want us to cut this number line into thirds. That's our step 1. So we're going to cut this into 3 equal pieces by drawing 2 lines. See, it says make 2 equally spaced cuts. Then we'll have 3 even pieces. So let's start there. Thirds are always tricky for Miss Fisher. I'm going to do the best I can. That was pretty crooked, huh? Okay, let's try again. Okay, now I'm going to do it up here. Great. Now they want me to label these. This is 3/3, so 4/3, 5/3. Let me mark that one down. I'm only labeling the fractions they want me to begin with, okay? 5/3, 6/3, and 6/3 is the equivalent fraction for 2 wholes. So I'm going to put a box around it, okay? 7/3, oops, let me cross that out, okay? 7/3, 8/3, and then it says write each whole number as a fraction, so I also need to label this. So 8/3, 9/3, 9/3 is equivalent to 3 wholes. Let's put a box around it. Great. Okay. What I wish I had done, I'm going to do something so that we can look at both. I thought I had done this, but I didn't. All right, here's what we're going to do, friends. Here is our inequalities, and here's that number line we just made. I know it's a little tiny, and I'm sorry about that. It's hard to have both on the screen with PowerPoint, but we're going to do our best. Let's see. So here's my number line. Actually, here's my number line, and let me put it in here for us to take a look at. Okay, here it is, and we need to compare these fractions. They put a helpful little chart in your packet. I have it here too, reminding us greater than, less than, and equal to, and what that all means. So we've got our number line here, we've got our number line here. They want to know 7/3 and 9/3. I know that 9/3 is equivalent to 3 wholes. It's right here. 7/3 would be right here. 7/3 is closer to 1, which would be closer to 0. So 9/3 is greater than 7/3. Okay. There we go. Okay. Let's look at the next one. 1 whole and 3/3. Let me look at my number line again. Okay, here's 1 whole. Here's 3/3. Oh, they're equal. They tried to trick me. All right, equal to. Cool. Now let's look at the last one. Let me find 2 wholes. That's going to be 6/3. And 4/3 would be right here, right after 3/3, between 3 and 5. 4 is going to be closer to 0. 4/3, so 2 wholes, aka 6/3, is bigger. Good job. Let's take a look at our next one. I'm going to leave it like that, this, for us. Okay. It says use the number line from problem 1 to help explain which is bigger. Use words, pictures, and numbers to explain your answer. So they actually brought that number line down for us. See, this is the number line from number 1. They brought it down for us. They want to know which is larger, 2 wholes, which is 10/5, or 9/5. Which one's larger? Yeah, 2 wholes is larger than 9/5. And they wrote a really lovely sentence here. They actually wrote 2 really lovely sentences. This sentence tells the answer, and then this sentence tells us how we know. On your papers, you should always have at least one sentence, but it better tell you the answer and how you know. Let's read theirs. 2 is larger than 9/5. We can see that 9/5 is to the left of 2 on the number line, which means 9/5 is closer to 0, so less than 2. Pretty simple. All right. Here's our next example. Let's see. It says, use the number line to help you. Which is larger, 12/5 or 1? Well, we need to kind of label our number line here. So we know they cut this into fifths because that's what we're comparing. 1/5, 2/5, 3/5, 4/5, 5/5. I just made sure that was true. I see 5 equal segments, so 5/5. That's 1 whole. I need to find where would 12/5 be. If you remember from our other videos, you know we could count by 5s to figure out our next whole number. I'm going to do that. 5, 10. 10/5 is 2 wholes. So I know that 12/5 is going to be above 2. If I count by 10s again, or if by 5s again to get my next whole, that would be 15/5. So I know that 12/5 is going to be somewhere between 2 and 3. I'll just go ahead and count. 10/5, 11/5, 12/5. There it is. So I'm comparing this fraction and this fraction. Which fraction is bigger? Yep, and I'm actually just going to use, do you see the sentence still up there? I'm going to use their sentence to help me. So I'm going to say, my thing is bad at typing fractions though, so I'm going to do it like this. 12/5 is larger than 1. Okay, I'm going to look at their sentence again to help me craft my own sentence. We can see 12/5 is to the left of, or I'm sorry, 1 is to the left of, 12/5 on the number line, which means that 1 is closer to 0, so less than 12/5. It is as simple as that. If you see an example sentence that you like that explains your thinking, feel free to use it, guys. Change it so it's right for your answer, but I have 2 really great sentences now because I used the work around me to help me. All right, let's try our problem set. We're almost done. Okay. Problem set 1. Divide the number line into the given fractional unit. Then place the fractions. Write each whole as a fraction. So it wants us to cut it into fourths. I'm going to do that with my black pen. Okay. So I need to to make 3 lines to cut into 4 equal pieces. I always like to cut it in half and then cut the half in half. Great. In half. In half. I'm going to label the fractions they told me to label first in red. Okay. 2/4. So 0/4, 1/4, 2/4. Great. 3/4, 5/4. I'm sorry, 3/4, 4/4, 5/4, 6/4, 4/4, 5/4, 6/4, 7/4. 8/4, 9/4, 10/4. Okay, we have labeled all the fractions they wanted. Great. Now we need to go back through and label our whole numbers. They're going to be a different color. Okay, so 0/4 is equivalent to 0. 4/4. I'm going to count by fours. 0/4, 4/4, 8/4 would be my 2 wholes. I also have that 7 there to help me out. 4/4, 8/4, 12/4, because I know how to count by my fours pretty well. That's equivalent to 3. Great. Now we're going to use the number line to compare. Here we go. 3/4, that'd be right here. And 5/4, that's right here. Which one's closer to 0? 3/4. So 5/4 is greater than 3/4. Remember, the alligator is going to eat the bigger fraction. Okay. 7/4, there it is. And 4/4. Which one's closer to 0? Yep, 4/4 or 1 whole. 7/4 is almost 2. So 7/4 is greater than 4/4. Or 4/4 is less than 7/4. All right. Last but not least, I see 3 wholes, which I know is equivalent to 12/4. Great. And 6/4. So here's my 12/4. Here would be my 6/4. 6/4 is way closer to 0. So 12/4 is greater than 6/4. Now it says use the number line from problem 1. Okay, there it is. Which is larger, 2 wholes or 9/4? My number line is getting pretty sloppy. I'm going to use the fancy pen. 2 wholes, 8/4, or 9/4? Ooh, they almost tricked us. They want to know which is larger. Which one's larger? Awesome job. 2 wholes is smaller, so 9/4 is larger. 9/4 is larger because larger than 2 wholes. And you could even get fancy here and say, or 8/4, because they're the same. Could let them know. I know they're the same. We can see 2 wholes is to the left of 9/4 on the number line, which means that 2 wholes is closer to 0, so less than 9/4. Woohoo! Awesome job, friends. So don't forget, log on to Zearn, log on to SC Math, practice your multiplication facts. Again, if you are having a hard time with these fractions, I'm going to link a video on this end screen to Miss Fifield's fraction review. If you want to practice some more multiplication, I'm going to link Miss Julian's one of her fraction or her multiplication fluency videos. Those are both in the same playlist. So after you watch one, if you want to watch another, go for it. Otherwise, hop on Zearn, hop on SC Math. Really wonderful job. I'm so proud of you. And we will see you tomorrow for day 4 and 5. It's a little tricky, but we'll see you then. Bye.